Welcome to the Vip3D version 4 lighting. In this video, we'll transform a standard 3D scene into a photorealistic rendering. Version 4 gives you powerful new lighting controls that work right out of the box for most projects. Understanding how to fine-tune the settings allows you to dial in specific moods or set your unique style. By the end of this video, you'll understand the camera and lighting process and be ready to create stunning presentations for your clients. To get started, open Example Northeast Pool. Click the Application button in the top left corner, select Open, and navigate to the Example Northeast Pool project. Once the file is open, click the camera icon to go to Stage 12 Presentation. Before we dive into lighting, we need to establish our camera angle. Professional designers always start by choosing their camera location. It's one of the most important decisions you'll make. Click Camera Location 1. When in doubt, eye-level views like this are a safe choice because that's how we naturally see the world. For a lower, more dramatic feel, go to Camera Location 2. This location demonstrates a few essential tips for composing your shot. First, always try to avoid being straight onto your subject. Angled or slightly diagonal shots are far more interesting. They create visual curiosity and make your images more attractive. Second, think about the rule of thirds. Imagine dividing your screen into 3 equal sections. In this scene, we have the sky as 1/3, the house and background as another third, and our pool and deck as the final third. This composition creates a natural balance. Go to Camera Location 5 to see a higher, more top-down perspective. This gives a great overview of the project, but is still angled for interest. Now we'll go to Camera Location 9 to create a photorealistic evening shot. Let's get started. This location is set to the default camera lens of 25 millimeters. When setting your lens, it's important to consider what will appear in the foreground, midground, and background of your image. All 3 layers are important for drawing the viewer's eye through the scene. The lens slider goes from 15 to 150 millimeters. The smaller the number, the wider the view. Perfect for tight spaces where you need to fit more into the frame. Higher numbers give you a tighter, more zoomed-in view. Since we want to see more of the project from this location, we'll set the camera to 18 millimeters. This wider angle captures the complete pool shape, the house in the background, and allows us to see the candle in the foreground, which adds a romantic touch. These 3 layers help the client picture themselves enjoying this space. Now we'll choose our time of day and sky. The sky is the foundation for your entire lighting setup. Click the HDRI in the panel. This opens the HDRI library. We have access to different sky options, each completely changing the mood and lighting of the scene. Once the HDRI sky is added, it's important to think about where the sun should be positioned. Use the sky rotation slider to adjust the sun location. For this photo, we want the sun coming through these trees and casting light across the scene, so we'll set the rotation to 253. As you double-click each HDRI option, the sun stays in the same location. This makes it easy to compare options while maintaining your composition. We want to create a bright midday scene with vibrant colors. Photographers call this golden hour, which occurs about an hour before sunset. Ocean haze looks great. This gives us strong composition with the 3 focal points, the sun, the pool, and the house. The scene already looks dramatically better because the sky and sun are the most important elements of any lighting system. With our HDRI set, close the library. Now we'll refine the lighting using the advanced sliders. Under Sky Rotation, expand the advanced options. First, we'll raise the sun slightly higher in the sky with the vertical offset slider. Bring this up to 66. Now you can see the sun has risen just a bit and is casting shadows across the project. If we lower it, we remove the shadows. But for golden hour, we want the sun positioned so the shadows just touch through the design, adding depth without overwhelming the scene. Next, adjust sun intensity because the scene is a little dark. Be careful here. This setting can get out of control quickly. Let's move this up to 68 to make the sun brighter. Now for sun shaft intensity. These sun shafts add drama and depth to the scene. We'll bring this up quite a bit, to around 80. Beautiful. Sun flare intensity controls the lens flare specifically from the sun. This is different from the general camera flare setting, which affects all lights. Since the sun is coming almost directly at us, we want this high to create the natural contrast you'd see in a real photograph, so we'll set it to 100. Now let's add fog intensity. This creates atmosphere, depth, and a sense of scale. Watch what happens to those background mountains and trees. They almost disappear into the fog, making them feel very far away. We don't want to go too high, but just a touch, around 20, adds wonderful depth. This next section is very advanced. Turn on Sun Override with caution. When you're using an HDRI sky, the sun is always positioned exactly where it appears in the sky image. But sometimes, especially when using large lens flares, you have the freedom to decouple the sun from its default position to improve your composition. Rotation moves the sun left and right. Angle raises and lowers it. Temperature adjusts how warm or cool the sun's color appears. All of these are determined by default by the sky you choose, but we can adjust them slightly for fine control. We'll adjust the rotation to 81 and the angle to 5. This moves the sun just slightly off center where the clouds are positioned to create this shadow pattern across the deck. To make the sun nice and warm, set the temperature to 35, since this is an evening sunset shot. There we go. That's great. Remember, whenever you adjust settings, save a new camera location to compare before and after. Press New Camera Location to save location 10. Now we can see where we started in location 9 to where we're going in location 10. Great! Next, we'll review the camera focus controls. Focus is your wow factor. It adds depth to your scene and really establishes your composition. Let's examine this shot. Notice that the candle is quite close to the camera, but it's not the focal point of the project. The pool is what we're selling, so that's where our focus should be. First, turn on Accurate Focus Mode. This ensures that your final path traced render will show the same focus as your real-time preview. Accurate Focus Mode might make your scene run slower, but it's important for getting the focus right. Click Pick Focus. Watch what happens when we set the focus on the candle. Nothing changed. The focal distance is about 6 feet away, but because f-stop, which controls how much light enters the camera lens, is high, there's no visible depth of field effect. If we bring the f-stop all the way down, now this area is in focus, but the entire background project is out of focus. That's not what we want. We need to find the right balance. Let's bring the f-stop up to about 0.80. You can see our background is slightly blurred and the candle is in focus. If we wanted to feature the candle, this would work, but we want to feature the pool. Activate Pick Focus again and click right below the pool light. The focal distance is now about 20 feet away, which is where we want it set. This has the majority of the pool in focus. The pavers are slightly soft, and the viewer's eye is drawn naturally back toward the pool and up to the sunset. Excellent! Now we'll look at exposure settings. This controls how the camera captures light. Thankfully, we have auto exposure, which keeps everything in a balanced range. If we turn this off, the scene becomes quite dark. Think of auto exposure like auto on a point-and-shoot camera. When it's on, it does its best to keep everything properly exposed. The locked setting prevents it from fluctuating as you move into darker or lighter areas, keeping your exposure consistent. Auto exposure and locked are generally good to keep enabled. Exposure compensation allows you to push the exposure slightly brighter or darker if you want. But for this scene, and most scenes, 0 is the right setting. Click Advanced to see the additional options. Since we're going for a romantic mood, Bloom pushes the lights to create a soft, glowing halo. Watch what happens. The sun, the candle flame, and each landscape light gets a soft glow around it. We want to be careful not to overdo this. Set it to 4, just a subtle bump, and then enable Enhanced Bloom, which adds a bit of rendering time but makes everything look more photorealistic. Notice these landscape lights now have that nice bloom flare, giving them a soft, romantic touch. Nice. Next is subsurface scattering. This controls how light transmits through semi-transparent objects like foliage. If we turn this all the way up, you'll notice the background bushes and these pine trees get brighter because the light's passing through them. All the way down, they get darker and flatter because light isn't transmitting through at all. We want to find a happy medium. Around 67 seems to catch the light in this scene perfectly. Now turn on local exposure. This lets you control shadows and highlights independently. Notice the sun is very bright here, while some areas, like under the pergola, are quite dark. With local exposure, we can boost the brightness of shadows separately from the highlights. Bring Shadow Boost down to 0.1 to darken those shadow areas slightly, and bring Highlight Reduction up to 0.6 to pull down those bright areas where the sun is most intense. This keeps the bloom under control and prevents the sun from being blown out. Next is color grading. You can apply photo filters here if you want, but we'll keep this set to default. Under Adjust, you'll find standard adjustments for brightness, contrast, and saturation. Under Effects, you can apply a filter and texture. These are fairly straightforward. Feel free to experiment with them as you develop your personal style. Make sure Vignette is enabled. It frames your composition. Lens flare can get a little out of control, so use it sparingly. Now we'll move to the Environment section, starting with lights and windows. We want our lights on, especially for a scene like this where the sun is setting. Window lights make windows appear lit from inside. In normal rendering, they look good. But since we'll use path tracing for this photo, which accurately bounces light throughout the scene, we don't need them. This project has staging lights inside the house itself, so we'll let the actual interior lighting show through naturally. Set window lights to off. Now let's control the window opacity, which affects how reflective the glass appears. At 100%, you get pure reflection. You can't even see through the windows anymore. At 0%, there's no reflection at all. The glass is invisible. Set the opacity to 70% to catch just a little bit of sky and depth in the reflection while still letting the interior light show through. As you make these adjustments and find settings you like, remember to update your camera location. Just click the camera pin in the thumbnail to save your changes. The last section is water and wind. This is where you really bring your scene to life. The default settings provide a good balance that works for most shots, with nothing too extreme. Water disturbance controls how agitated the water surface is. When the slider is all the way down, the water is flat. When the slider is all the way up, it looks like everyone just finished swimming. If we set disturbance, ripples, and wind to 0, the pool looks completely flat and somewhat lifeless. We want subtle movement. Since water is affected by wind, we'll leave disturbance set to 0 and let the wind create natural movement on the water surface. If we set the wind strength to 100, you get these beautiful ripples as the breeze touches the water surface. That's a nice effect, but we don't want too much movement. We want this to feel like a still, romantic evening. So set wind strength to 50. Water ripples are generated by water features. In this case, the scuppers over here. It's good to have some ripples enabled for realism. Caustics are the light patterns that appear on surfaces underwater. Since the sun is not hitting the water, we'll set the slider to 0. Sun glitter controls how the sun reflects off the water surface. If you increase water disturbance, you can see some glitter appearing where the sun would be hitting those ripples. But since we want a romantic, calm mood, keep water disturbance and sun glitter off. Great! We have a beautifully composed scene. We've come a long way from location number 9 where we started to where we are now. The transformation is remarkable. Now it's time to path trace the final render. Path tracing uses realistic light bouncing to create photorealistic results, but it will make everything look slightly different and often slightly darker. Let's turn it on. First, we'll review the path tracing settings. Click the gear icon to see the options. Preview controls what you see right now as you work, and Render controls the quality when you click Take Photo. Path tracing is computationally intensive, so for preview, you can use very few samples to get an idea of the lighting. Samples determine how many times path tracing analyzes each pixel in the scene. The more samples you use, the slower it renders, but the less noise, those little speckles, you'll see in the image. For preview, set samples to 32. Under Render, for typical shots, 512 samples is quite good. For our marketing shots and videos, we use 1024 samples. That's what we'll set under Render. Remember, the higher the sample count, the longer the rendering time. Light bounces control how many times light bounces through water or reflective materials. If many layered reflective objects, like a waterfall in front of glass, you'd need many light bounces to capture that accurately. But for most scenes, you won't have that level of reflectivity. Keeping this number low significantly improves render speed. We'll set it to 4 in both preview and render. Denoise is important. If you turn denoise off, you'll notice the image is quite noisy with little speckles everywhere. Denoise smooths these out for a cohesive final image. If your sample count is low, like 32, denoise can make things look slightly mushy, like the preview. But that's acceptable for preview mode and for smaller images viewed on a phone. For the final rendering, we want that detail, so we'll keep denoise enabled under Render. It's time to click Take Photo to generate our path traced photo. If you want to render multiple locations at once, Control-click each location so they're highlighted in blue. Now when you click Take Photo, it will capture all selected views in path tracing. Once the photo is rendered, click Open File on the preview to see the result. Beautiful! The best way to master lighting is through experimentation. Try different times of day, test various atmospheric settings, and develop your own signature style. Remember, while the default settings work beautifully for most projects, understanding how to adjust these controls allows you to create the exact mood and aesthetic your design deserves. Thanks for watching. For more information, please visit structurestudios.com/help.